Marcus Reed spent months hauling hay bales to his property, stacking them into what looked like the most ridiculous construction project the village had ever seen. Neighbors laughed at the bizarre structure rising on his land, convinced the quiet man had lost his mind. When the Johnsons arrived at Marcus's door that winter evening, what they discovered inside changed everything. Marcus Reed had always been different from the other villagers. While they gathered at the local pub or attended community events, he kept to himself on the outskirts of town. He wasn't unfriendly, just private. That changed when the truck started arriving. A massive flatbed hauled up the dirt road to Marcus's property, loaded with hay bales. Neighbors noticed immediately. In a small village, everything gets noticed. Sarah Mitchell watched from her kitchen window as Marcus positioned each bale with precision. She called her sister to report the strange development. Within hours, everyone knew about Marcus and his mysterious hay operation. He began building with the hay bales. He stacked them like bricks, creating walls. The structure took shape slowly, following a rectangular foundation he had laid weeks earlier. Tom Harrison, the village carpenter, shook his head when he drove past. He pulled over one afternoon to watch Marcus work. The sight seemed impossible to process. A house. Marcus was building a house from hay bales. Tom spread the word, and soon the explanation seemed obvious to everyone. Marcus must be broke. Hay was the cheapest building material available in their agricultural region. The poor man was making do with what he could afford. Spring turned to summer, and the hay bale structure grew taller. People started stopping by. Robert Chen, a local mason, pulled up one afternoon with unsolicited advice. He told Marcus that hay would rot in the rain, that moisture would destroy everything he had built. Marcus listened politely, nodded, and returned to his work. The carpenter came next. Tom explained that proper lumber would cost less in the long run. He offered to help Marcus source better materials. Marcus thanked him for the concern, but continued stacking hay bales. The mockery began gently at first. People would drive past and chuckle at the hay house, wondering aloud how Marcus expected such a thing to survive. Marcus heard the whispers. He saw the sideways glances, but his expression never changed. By autumn, the house stood complete. Windows had been installed. A proper door hung in the frame. The roof, covered with traditional materials, looked solid enough, but those hay bale walls drew every eye. Marcus moved into his Hay Bale House in late October. Smoke began rising from the chimney on cold mornings. Lights glowed in the windows at night. Life continued inside those unconventional walls, while skepticism continued outside them. November brought the first frost. December arrived with predictions of a harsh winter. The weather forecasters weren't wrong. Snow began falling on a Thursday evening, light at first, then heavier. The storm intensified overnight. The storm became relentless, day after day of heavy snowfall and brutal cold. Winds screamed through the streets, creating drifts that buried cars and blocked doorways. The Johnson family huddled in their home as their heating system sputtered and died. David Johnson tried everything to fix it, but the equipment had finally given up. With 2 young children and temperatures still dropping, panic set in. His wife Emma remembered Marcus. She suggested they ask for help, though she felt embarrassed about the idea. After all, they had laughed about his hay house just weeks earlier. But desperation overruled pride. They bundled up the children and trudged through knee-deep snow toward Marcus's property. The journey took twice as long as normal. Wind bit at their faces. The kids cried from the cold. When they finally reached the Hay Bale House, David knocked hesitantly on the door. Marcus answered immediately. He took one look at the shivering family and stepped aside without a word, gesturing them inside. The Johnsons stepped through the doorway and stopped in shock. Warmth enveloped them instantly. The interior looked nothing like they expected. Plastered walls hid the hay bales from view, but the temperature was what amazed them most. While their own home struggled to stay above freezing, Marcus's house felt like a summer afternoon. Marcus explained that the densely packed hay bales created natural insulation far superior to conventional walls. The thick barriers trapped heat inside while blocking the brutal cold outside. The structure had been designed specifically for this purpose. The Johnsons stared at him in disbelief. This wasn't a cheap solution born from poverty. This was engineering. Marcus had built something revolutionary while everyone assumed he was building something pathetic. They stayed that night, sleeping in warm beds Marcus prepared. The next morning, the storm continued. Snow piled higher. Other homes in the village began experiencing problems. Frozen pipes, failed heaters, dangerous cold creeping through inadequate insulation. The Johnsons remained at Marcus's house for 3 days while the blizzard raged. During that time, word spread about the remarkable stability of the hay bale structure. The same neighbors who had mocked Marcus now spoke of him with amazement. When the storm finally broke on Tuesday afternoon, residents emerged to assess the damage. Many houses showed signs of stress. Roofs sagged under the weight of snow. Walls had developed cracks. Energy bills would be astronomical from systems working overtime. But Marcus's hay bale house stood exactly as it had before the storm. Not a single problem. People gathered outside Marcus's property. A few admitted they had been wrong to laugh. Marcus accepted their words with the same quiet demeanor he had shown throughout the entire process. He simply acknowledged their comments with a nod. He had never built the house to prove anything to anyone. He had built it because he understood something they didn't. He had researched, planned, and executed a design that worked exactly as intended. The laughter had never bothered him because he knew the truth. Actions always speak louder than words. Results always matter more than opinions. And sometimes the person everyone thinks is foolish turns out to be the wisest one in the room. And you? Have you ever judged someone's choices only to discover they knew exactly what they were doing?